Today I'm going to give a brief description about the World War II Battle of Tarawa. Tarawa is one of the atolls that is part of the Gilbert Island chain in the South Pacific. So let's go to it. On November 20th, 1943, the United States Naval Forces and Marine Corps went to Tarawa Atoll in the Gilbert Islands. As you can see, this is the Tarawa Atoll right here. This is the lagoon, and it's a chain of islands that go around. Now, the objective was to take islands in the Gilbert Island chain that were held by the Japanese military. The ultimate goal was to take Kwajalein, and Kwajalein is 500 miles to the north or 800 kilometers to the north. Right here, this is the Kwajalein Atoll, and this is Kwajalein Island today. So the goal was to take this island, but before they could, they had to remove any Japanese threats from the south in the Gilbert Island chain. And that is why they had the battle for Tarawa. So if we go back down, Tarawa Atoll. As you can see, there's numerous islands in this chain of islands here. But the one that they were fighting over was this one right here. I pronounce it Betio. Some people pronounce it Betio. I like to say Betio. As you can see here, this is what it looks like today. Now, during World War II, it looked more like this. You can see here at the tip of the island here, there is no road connecting to other islands. You can see the curve of the lagoon here. You can see that there is a pier going out into the water right about here. And you can see a runway running down the middle of it through here with a taxiway that comes up from two angles and meets right about here. But this is what it looked like just before the invasion on November 20th, 1943. So here it is today. You can see that at the tip of the island over here, they've actually built a road that connects other islands, which is something that was not there during the battle. Also, you can see they built a harbor right here where there used to be a small pier that went out, is now a fairly large chunk of land with a harbor next to it. And here's a World War II schematic. You can see Red Beach 1 went from right about here to here. Red Beach 2 went from the edge of Red Beach 1 to just a little bit past where the pier was. And Red Beach 3 went from where the pier was down to about the end of the runway. You can see the runway coming through here, and you can see the taxiway right in here. Because of this airport on the island, this island posed too much of a threat to any of the United States forces trying to invade Kwajalein. So they had to make sure that this threat was completely removed before they could successfully take Kwajalein. Today, if we zoom in a little closer here, you can see Red Beach 1 would have gone from this corner here to about right in here. Red Beach 2 would have gone from about right here to approximately right in here. And Red Beach 3 would have gone from right in here to right about down here. And that runway used to run right through here. And the taxiways went up in this general direction right in here. Of course, over time, the cove isn't as round as it used to be, because the sand does do a lot of shifting. And over here on the end was Green Beach. This whole section was Green Beach. On this side was Black Beach 1, and over here to here was Black Beach 2. They never landed anybody on this side. The landing forces actually came in from the north side here. And the way that happened was first they bombarded. Now the naval ships didn't come into the lagoon and bombard from here. They actually bombarded from right about in here. They were sending the big shells in, hitting the island from over here and in this direction. And when they sent the Marines in the Higgins boats, they came through this little break here that you can see that comes into the lagoon, and then they made a right turn and started heading to the beaches. After the naval bombardment, the Marines that were coming in on the Higgins boats didn't think there was going to be anything left because the island appeared to be totally destroyed. But what they didn't know is the Japanese were well entrenched and hidden inside of very reinforced bunkers that they built. They had plenty of time to build these, and these bunkers were very successful. One of the problems the Marines ran into was they misjudged the tide. They thought the water would be deeper and they'd be able to come right up to the beach and exit the Higgins boats, but that didn't happen. They misjudged it. The water was lower than they anticipated, and the Marines ended up hitting this coral reef right here, and they had to get out of the Higgins boats back in here and wade all their way in. And while they were doing that, they were being mowed down by machine gun fire. The Higgins boats were being hit by big cannons, especially right here in the cove and over here on Red Beach 2. Red Beach 3 did have some resistance, but nothing like what they had over here in the cove and on Red Beach 2. Now, I'm not going to go into great detail about what happened, but I will say that eventually some of the Marines figured out that if they came over here to the end onto Green Beach and started flanking some of the Japanese positions, it did make a difference, and that's what eventually opened up the island. It was a 3-day battle. 1,056 Marines and naval personnel were killed. A total of 2,292 were wounded. And I want to focus in on this photo here. This is a famous photo of the Battle for Tarawa of Betio Island. And I want to focus on it because I was curious to know exactly where on the island it was. So what I did was I looked here, and you can see this little pier right here coming out onto this structure. Actually a little dock, and then over behind it there's another structure with a little bit longer dock behind it. And then you can see the curvature inside of the cove right back here. So I found this aerial photo, and you can see here's the cove with its curvature. You can see there's some structures in the water, but I believe the structures in the photo with all those Marines that washed up on the beach is this little dock right here connecting to this structure with the longer dock behind it connecting to this structure, because you can begin to see the curve of the cove behind that second structure, which would tell me that the photo I was just looking at was taken from approximately right in here and looking back this way. The tank isn't there. I was looking for the tank. I don't see it in this photo, but my best guess is that photo was actually taken approximately right in here. So all those Marine casualties, those Marine deaths in the photo would have been approximately right in here. If we go back to Google Earth today and zoom in and look at it now, my best guess is that photo of those Marines would have been taken from right about in here, right about the middle of this stretch of beach here, approximately right in here. And here's a photo of Betio Island. I'm not sure if this is just before the invasion or after the invasion, but you can see the landing strip here. You can see the cove. And you can see right about in here is what I would guess to be the approximate location of that famous photo. This one right here that has numerous U.S. Marines washed up on the beach after being killed by Japanese fire as they waded toward the shore. So there you have it, my brief, very brief description for the Battle of Tarawa on Betio Island that occurred on November 20th, 1943, right here on Google Earth.